Welcome to the Bookworm Duo, where we explore a variety of books. Let's get started. Today on the deep dive, we're tackling a fascinating take on a legendary figure, Leonardo da Vinci, as seen through the eyes of art historian Stephen Campbell in his book Leonardo da Vinci, The Anti-Biography. Now, you asked us for a chronological journey through Leonardo's life as Campbell presents it, so our aim isn't just to recount dates, but to unpack the key moments and how Campbell uses them to challenge some of the standard narratives you might have encountered.
Exactly. Campbell's work isn't your typical celebratory biography.
Ah,
Not at all. Instead, it's an exploration of Leonardo within the context of his time, the Renaissance, and look at how our modern perspective shapes what we think we know about him. So yeah, we'll be following the timeline laid out in the book, focusing on the events Campbell highlights and what they suggest about Leonardo beyond the myth of the lone genius.
okay, so right off the bat, Campbell kicks things off in an interesting way by pointing out just how many books already exist about Leonardo. It's almost like he's saying, why another one? What's the first actual event in Leonardo's life that Campbell zooms in on after that observation?
Well, Campbell starts by firmly placing Leonardo in the Florentine art scene. He emphasizes Leonardo's documented presence in Andrea del Verrocchio's workshop. This is a crucial foundation, highlighting that Leonardo emerged from a system of apprenticeship and collaboration, embedded within a thriving artistic community rather than, in complete isolation.
Right, part of system.
Yeah.
And then surprisingly early in the book, Campbell brings up the 1476 denunciation for sodomy involving Leonardo and Jacopo Saltarelli. Why does Campbell shine a light on this so prominently at the beginning? It feels quite direct.
It is direct. What's fascinating here is that Campbell uses this as one of the few solid pieces of documented evidence from Leonardo's early years. It's something concrete. He makes sure to note the acquittal, of course, but he also underscores how this event, this brush with the law, has had a long shadow. It's significantly influenced how biographers and interpreters have approached Leonardo's personal life and relationships for centuries.
Ah, I see.
So right from the beginning, Campbell is kind of pushing back against the purely heroic image, revealing a more nuanced individual navigating the complexities of his time.
Right. So having established Leonardo's early artistic roots and this intriguing early personal event in Florence, where does Campbell's chronological path take us next?
The narrative then shifts to Milan, and Leonardo's significant period of service under Ludovico Sforza. This is undeniably a pivotal phase in his career, marked by a wealth of activity in some of his most famous creations.
Okay, Milan.
And one key commission Campbell highlights from this time is naturally The Last Supper, around 1495.
And Campbell really delves into the specific circumstances surrounding this commission, doesn't he? Like, it wasn't just a patron requesting a standard religious scene.
Precisely. Campbell stresses that Ludovico Sforza commissioned The Last Supper in the wake of considerable political instability. Things were shaky. The Duke likely intended the work to project an aura of piety and, reinforce his authority. Campbell points out how Leonardo's interpretation of the apostles' emotional turmoil after Christ's announcement of betrayal might even subtly mirror the Duke's own precarious political standing. It's an interesting thought.
Connecting the art directly to the patron's anxieties. That makes sense. It's almost a cruel twist of fate, then, that this very painting, meant to project stability, began to deteriorate so rapidly.
It is rather ironic, isn't it? Campbell mentions Antonio de Bias's observation in 1517 that the Last Supper was already showing significant signs of decay. Even then, by the 17th century, it was apparently in such poor condition that Cardinal Borromeo commissioned a copy. This really underscores the experimental nature of some of Leonardo's artistic techniques and the often unpredictable lifespan of even the most celebrated works.
Right, the experiments didn't always pay off long term. Beyond the Last Supper, Campbell paints a picture of Leonardo's activities in Milan as incredibly diverse. What other kinds of engagements does the book highlight during this time?
Oh, definitely. Campbell really emphasizes Leonardo's multifaceted intellect during his Milanese years. It wasn't just art. He mentions his involvement in decorative projects for the Sforza Castle and a brief trip back to Florence. But perhaps more revealingly, Campbell details Leonardo's broader intellectual curiosity, noting his plans for meetings in Rome and Naples, his inquiries about traveling on ice in Flanders.
On ice? Really?
Yeah, apparently seeking info from a Benedetto Portinari about it, and his consultations with experts in hydraulics.
Okay, so a real Renaissance man in the true sense, gathering all sorts of knowledge.
Exactly. This shows us a mind constantly seeking knowledge across various fields, not just painting.
And it wasn't all professional endeavors, was it? Campbell also provides some glimpses into Leonardo's personal life in Milan, his household.
Yes, Campbell mentions the arrival of Giulio, a German, to live with Leonardo in 1493, alongside other individuals who were part of his household. Antonio, Bartolomeo, Lucia, Piero. It gives a rare window into his domestic arrangements.
So not quite the solitary figure sometimes portrayed.
Not according to these notes, no. Furthermore, Campbell highlights the records of expenditures on clothing for Sully starting in 1497.
Sully, his longtime companion or pupil.
Right. These seemingly small details, the spending on clothes, offer intriguing clues about their relationship, suggesting a personal connection that perhaps went beyond a simple master-servant dynamic.
Interesting. Okay, so following this extensive and productive period in Milan, the ever-shifting political landscape of Italy eventually prompts Leonardo to return to Florence around 1504. Is that the next major move?
That's the next step in Campbell's chronology, yes. Back in Florence, Leonardo receives another huge commission, the Battle of Anghiari. This was meant to be a massive mural for the Salone dei Cinquecento. Campbell emphasizes the sheer scale and ambition of this project.
But this project, much like the Last Supper in a way, was ultimately plagued by technical difficulties and never fully realized right. Another one that didn't quite make it.
Precisely. Campbell explains that the Battle of Anghiari was abandoned around 1506. Again, due to Leonardo's experimental painting methods, they just didn't work as planned.
So frustrating for him, surely.
Must have been. While the full mural itself didn't survive, Campbell notes the existence of sketches and copies that offer us a sense of its intended impact. This pattern of ambitious, often unfinished projects really seems to be a recurring thread in Leonardo's life, as Campbell presents it.
A pattern of reaching, maybe sometimes overreaching with technique. And during this time back in Florence, Campbell also notes a significant personal event, the death of Leonardo's father, Pier da Vinci.
Yes, Pier da Vinci's death in 1504 is recorded by Campbell. And interestingly, Campbell points out something about the note Leonardo made.
Oh, what was it?
He made this note using conventional left-to-right handwriting, unlike his usual mirror writing, where he wrote from right to left.
Huh, that's unusual for him. Any theories why?
Well, Campbell suggests it might indicate the emotional significance of the event, or perhaps, a more conventional public presentation of himself at that moment. It's open to interpretation. The fact that his father died without a will is also mentioned, hinting at potential legal and financial implications for Leonardo, inheritance issues.
Right, that could definitely complicate things. Campbell then continues to trace Leonardo's movements through a politically volatile Italy, describing it as a shatter zone. We see him returning to Milan and facing further instability.
Indeed. Campbell touches upon these later Italian years, a period marked by constant shifts in power, France invading, rulers changing. It was chaotic. He even mentions Leonardo's brief association with Cesare Borgia.
The Cesare Borgia, wow.
Well, the connection is through Sully, actually, citing Sully's ownership of a cape in the French style that had once belonged to Borgia.
Ah, secondhand connection.
Yeah, but these fleeting connections underscore Leonardo's position as someone navigating a complex and often dangerous political environment. He had to be adaptable.
Absolutely. And this ultimately leads us to the final phase in Campbell's chronological account, Leonardo's emigration to France in 1516.
That's right. Campbell presents this move to France and Leonardo's subsequent service to the French king, Francis I, as a sort of culmination. In Campbell's narrative, France becomes the place where his legacy would ultimately take root and, flourish.
The final act, so to speak. Campbell also recounts Antonio de Bias's visit to Leonardo in France. This visit brings perhaps Leonardo's most iconic work into the picture, doesn't it?
Yes. De Bias's 1517 visit provides a fascinating detail. He saw a portrait of a Florentine woman.
Let me guess.
Believed at the time to be Giuliano de' Medici's mistress. Campbell connects this, of course, to the ongoing enigma of the Mona Lisa in Paris, a painting that was already generating speculation and mystery even during Leonardo's lifetime. Campbell calls it the identity crisis surrounding the Mona Lisa.
So the mystery started early. Okay, so the chronological journey through Campbell's anti-biography essentially concludes with Leonardo's death in France. It's not a neat, heroic ending, but rather a point in time in this intricate and multifaceted life Campbell portrays.
Exactly. Campbell's approach deliberately avoids a straightforward, triumphant narrative. It's not cradle-to-grave hero worship. Instead, it offers us a glimpse into a life lived amidst political upheaval, characterized by ambitious projects, some successful, some not, intriguing relationships, and enduring questions about Leonardo's motivations and, importantly, the layers of meaning we have projected onto him over the centuries.
So, as you can see, you, our listener, who wanted a chronological understanding, Campbell's anti-biography pieces together Leonardo's life not as a simple series of successes, but as a journey through a politically fractured Renaissance, marked by significant artistic endeavors, complex personal connections, and these persistent questions about his intentions and our own interpretations.
So what stands out to you from this chronological overview? Does hearing it laid out this way, through Campbell's lens, challenge any of your preconceived notions about Leonardo? Campbell's work really pushes back against the idea of him as a solitary genius, doesn't it? Emphasizing his constant interaction with his contemporaries and the world around him.
Definitely less isolated than the myth suggests.
Perhaps this exploration might encourage you to delve deeper into specific periods, or even explore some of the primary sources that Campbell himself examines. There's always more detail.
One final thought, maybe. Campbell's approach really underscores how the specific circumstances of Leonardo's life, the political instability of the time, the nature of artistic patronage, the evolving role of the artist, profoundly shaped his work and his enduring legacy.
Yeah.
It prompts you to consider how much of what we understand as Leonardo is a product of his era, and how much is, well, our own modern construction built on top of that.
That's a crucial point, isn't it? About how we create historical narratives and how our current perspectives inevitably influence our understanding of the past. Campbell's work encourages us to approach even the most iconic figures with a more critical and nuanced perspective. Question the story we think we know.
Well put. A great reason to engage with books like this anti-biography. Thanks for joining us. Subscribe for more bookish adventures and hit that like button if you enjoyed the ride. Don't forget to share the knowledge, spread the word.